South Africans doing great things.
Motseki Mabuya is a colleague. He is a radio man himself. He is somebody that has been in this space for the longest time. He's here with me, and he's a South African doing great things. My brother, thank you so much for agreeing to see us this time of the evening on a Friday. You could have been doing all sorts of things, right?
You could some piano at home.
you could have been elsewhere doing other things, and you've agreed to come and talk to us. We really appreciate it, by the way. Where does your journey with radio start? I'm always intrigued by people that do or are in the space that I'm in, because I've got a unique story myself, but because it's such a strange place, radio, right? You're alone in the studio, but you're part of this huge audience of people that are listening and participating in the conversation. That for me is a very, very interesting relationship. Where does it start for you?
Sure, thanks, Bro Aubrey. Good evening to you, and good evening to 702 listeners. So I was born in Qwaqwa, and excited to say I'm turning 40 this year.
Come on. Welcome to the fourth floor.
So if you're having me tonight...
I'm in the fifth, by the way. So.
I'm coming.
Yeah?
I'm coming. So I was raised by my great-grandmother.
Yes.
When... I think from 7 years, but mom left when I was 13. So the only thing that we had in Qwaqwa was radio. And it would be switched on twice a day.
Right.
At, I think at around 6:30 towards 8 o'clock in the evening, because she wanted to do the story.
Yes.
A
lot of people don't know what we're saying. Story. I remember listening to Stephen Grote speaking to Mamoketi Parking.
Right.
And she says that father was involved in radio, also Kastori.
Sure.
But when we talk about story, we're actually talking about radio drama, right?
Radio drama, correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, and I'll tell you fast forward, very funny thing about the whole drama issue, because I get to deal with it every Saturday on my show now. Yeah. And that's a funny part about it.
Yeah.
So in a day, that's the first time radio will be switched on. Not in the morning, not during the day.
Yeah.
Around drama time.
Yes.
Immediately after that, it would be the funeral announcements.
Yes.
Those are two key things that my great-grandmother would want to listen to. And may her great soul rest in peace. That's Mabi. That's the woman who raised me. And as a young boy, that really fascinated me. But of course, weekends, she would not be home. She would go visit other relatives. And I'd sneak into her bedside.
Switch on the
wireless. Because it would be football time.
Yes.
And there was this beautiful voice of Ntate Tabakofa doing football.
Right.
And from time to time, my grandmother would have to catch me listening to radio, and she would not be very happy with that because of the ever-ready Power Plus batteries that were used in radio. Then we'll from time to time fight over that. But I think over time she understood that, okay, there's something about this boy in radio. And I think just 2 years or 3 years later, after mom has passed, love of radio that from a very early age has always been there. And I felt that I need to pursue this thing. Yes, I'm only 13, I'm only 14 at this time. What then do? I want to mimic this guy that I'm hearing on radio.
Right.
And I'd bring my friends, get into a Zozo, and I would
prefabricated house, yeah.
And I would do a Kaizer Chiefs and Orlando Pirates game, right? So it started there.
Yes.
Well, being a soccer player myself at the time, but because radio was not seen as a medium that could take you anywhere else, at least from that point.
Yes.
The focus has always been finish your school and just go to school and go find a job. That's what is needed. And radio, I guess it became, okay, I'll see you later on. But fast forward when I finished my matric, I wanted to pursue football because that was the only thing that I knew I could do at the time. And I was really very good. I played for your under 13s, under 19s and different phases of football at home. And I got a call up for Jomo Cosmos when they were starting their under 19s.
Jeez, so you're pretty good.
Here in Randburg.
Yeah.
And I'm doing matric. So I came here Easter time for trials. Got selected.
Around about this time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Then got moved for September holidays, and I'm doing matric here. I can't attend extra classes for matric because I'm busy with football.
Yeah.
Got promoted to the next semi-finals for September holidays for official finals. I attended that, and I got selected to join the squad. Now here I am doing matric. Now going to play for Jomo Cosmos. And all I could see was the next Dr. Khumalo coming from that shelter.
Wow.
Coming from that shack. And I went home around holidays, December. As a soccer player, I played with Majita, as we always do.
Sure.
Now back to Limpopo,
Yeah.
you know.
Is that where it is?
This is now back at home, having left back from Randburg for holidays.
Right.
I'm joining the former players in our home grounds.
Yes.
And I got injured. Got a groin injury. I was limping and I thought I'll be fine. Got back to camp and they said, dude, you limping. What's the problem? I'm like, I don't know. I could not even disclose at the time that, no, I was playing for festival games.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, cool. We need to put you on physical screening and let's check what's the problem. And they picked up that you've got a groin injury.
Right.
And said news that had to be broken was, listen, this is groin, it's lifetime. We can't keep you.
Oh, my.
Gotta pack our things and go back home. We're sorry.
Sure.
And the only thing that I knew I was going to be was football. Nothing else. And at that time, my world literally crumbled.
Let me try and see if I understand. You had understood, based on your circumstances, your limited experience to the rest of the world, that the one thing that I know I'm good at.
Sure.
Look, I know this. I know this about myself.
Yeah.
I love to listen to radio with the old Queen. I love to dabble with announcing in the prefabricated house, with talking and presenting. But this one thing I know I can do.
Sure.
And you go to Randburg and you get a groin injury that messes you up forever. What does it do inside of you?
So, where I'm from in Buketlo in Qwaqwa, we were the only house that was built out of mud. We're the only house without running water. We're the only house without electricity. We got our electricity in 2003 when I was doing matric. So, if you're looking for a guy from a poor family in my hood, I was that guy. But if you're looking for a soccer star in that hood or a star to be in that hood, I was also that guy.
Right.
So the Jomo Cosmos break for me answered my great-grandmother's prayers. And I knew that moment that, listen, poverty
is about to stop. Yeah.
We're done with you. When the groin injury came, literally brought up, I had to go back home and go to my mom's grave. And what have we done?
Why is this happening to us?
Why me? I mean, you're gone.
You're supposed to be looking after this
You're
stuff.
supposed to be here. And why you do not see these things? Why are you not making ways for me?
How did Koko, your great grandmother, explain this to you?
So, in very few words, she said to me, it's going to be okay.
It'll be okay. Yeah.
It will be okay. And that's all she said. I'm like, but what do you mean?
You know, a lot of people listening to us now might think these guys are over dramatizing.
Sure.
The the calamity that you went through. But I want you to, for a moment, think about it this way. There is no other way out. There simply is no other way out, unless, of course, you want to dabble in a bit of crime. But there is no other way out of poverty. You live in a shack. You have no electricity.
Yep.
The only thing that you've got going for you is your athletic abilities. And this is the one thing that you knew was going to get you out of the conditions, the squalor conditions that you are in. And all of the prayers of the family and everybody else. And one day that call up comes from Jomo Cosmos. Surely you would believe that this is an answer from God, right? Yeah?
That's true.
Yeah?
That's true.
I mean, and when you get the groin injury, then obviously it messes with your faith, right?
What's the message here?
Yeah.
And I could not understand. So the funny part about it is it's the support you get, right? So you're an orphan who everyone else now says, we love you because we know you're about to. But here you are. The story has changed. What then? What really broke me was immediately the next thing for me was maybe I should have really focused on my books. I would have definitely got the A's in my matric, and I was advised by the teachers that this football thing of yours ain't going to take you nowhere.
Yeah.
And every day their words are just replay.
I want to ask you something, and you're very welcome not to go there if it's uncomfortable. I hear your grandmother in your story. I don't hear your mom or your grandmother. I hear your great grandmother.
Right.
I can almost see her.
Right.
I hear grandma passed. I've just heard that.
Right.
I don't hear mom in your story. Where's mom and where's dad?
Well, mom passed when I was 13.
Okay.
As I'm sitting with you here tonight, how do I put it? I don't know, should I say dad also passed away? I don't know if dad is listening now.
Okay.
I don't know if dad is probably your dad. I don't know. 39 turning 40 to date. I have not crossed that bridge of really closing that. I don't call it a wound though, but I haven't really closed that door. And I'll tell you why, and I'm glad you're asking that question as well. I have not been, unfortunately, black people, you would know that if you're 10 years, you're 9, you're 13, mom or dad would not have a conversation about the realities of
the
life,
bees. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's my story, like many of the black people.
Yeah.
I could only hope that the aunties, the uncles, or the grandmother, let alone my great-grandmother, because we were in Qwaqwa, and dad was in Velcom with mom. And I could only hope that the uncles and aunts would get to share with me. And I had confronted them later on in my life when things were really not going well, especially during that period of having been dropped by Jomo Cosmos. And again, a story of a black child. Nobody's willing to come out clean. But here's a funny thing. Every now and then, as you grow, your cousins would say, and this is my story, and my cousin would say to me, "Jeez, Motseki, you're so stubborn like the Xhosa people, just like your dad."
Oh.
And this is my cousin saying that to me.
Yes.
But dude, why would you say I'm stubborn like Xhosa people? You're my cousin. But only later on you get to understand that they obviously over coffee and dinner at home, they've heard that no, his dad was probably Xhosa guy.
A lot of people won't understand sometimes when we say most black people will understand this story very deeply, because it's us who experienced the realities of the migrant labor system.
Yep.
And the fact that many of the fathers in our homes had to go and find work. And the only way that you could pay whatever taxes that were payable was through money, not through cows or chickens, or you had to have money. And the only way to get money is that you had to go to the urban centers,
Sure.
Gauteng, Joburg, Cape Town, wherever, to go and get a job. And how that broke families, how it literally broke families. I'll tell you this story. I recently discovered that I have family in KwaZulu-Natal,
Right.
where my grandfather had gone, because the men would go for years, just disappear for years.
Right.
And it turns out that my grandfather had gotten a job in the building of Ongoye University. He was one of the builders at Ongoye University. And it turns out that he had a family there too. So one of these days, I'm wanting to do a little bit of a trip to go and meet my family in KwaZulu-Natal. I've just discovered that I've got family in KwaZulu-Natal. He had a wife and a whole family there.
Proper family.
A whole family this side. And
While, of course, there was another
while
family
there was
this
us this side, there was a family this side.
Yeah.
And there would have been children that would have been born during his absence through his progeny, through his other children and so forth, that didn't know about Nkulu, about their grandfather. Later, many, many years later, he arrives back and half the family doesn't know who this guy is.
Sure.
Because they've never met him. Right? They don't know who this guy is.
Right.
And everybody stands, those who know him know, and they stand at attention and they say, oh no, this is the great patriarch
man.
of the family. And then the rest of the kids. And that kind of thing messes with us. It messes with our mind. It messes with our sense of personality, of personhood.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think how the absence of your dad, the passing away of your mom, the passing away of your grandmother, the remaining person being great-grandmother,
Right.
how that helped you have a sense of continuity in yourself, having missed so many big chunks of who you were. Did you get my question?
I don't know how, but I can tell you that there is grace and there is God of grace.
Yeah.
And I've been carried by that grace. And more so that my great-grandmother, we buried her in 2010.
Wow.
And for me, once again, this is just a story that also was just more of a confirmation that if really God wanted you to move beyond mountains, this woman needed to be there before she rested. And I think the unknown being the future has always been what really carried me. And I think the commitment to really want to say thank you to my great-grandmother, and the only way for me to say thank you to her was to become. I was never interested in anything else, but I wanted to become. And having experienced the loss and the loss and the loss, I had to find my purpose.
Did you have brothers and sisters around you?
They are. I've got a beautiful sister, and I've got a very handsome brother.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Y'all are a handsome bunch.
So we're good. We're good. We're taking care of each other. We're good.
Okay. And them younger, older?
The sister is younger.
Okay.
And then my brother he's going to his 50s.
Okay.
So he's turning 50 in the next 2 years.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I needed to become for not only for my survival, but also to really look at the family tree itself. What really motivated me out of all this situation, perhaps, is that the only person that now in the family generally that really had a proper employment was my uncle, who was a policeman. The rest of everyone else were just general people.
Yeah, just trying to get by, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if I'm not going to become a soccer star, what next? I need to become a broadcaster.
Really?
I'm sure of this. The first thing is I must go to school. Now I'm here in Joburg. I'm with the aunt. Nobody's interested to take me to school. They are not interested. dude, you must be working. You ain't going to be telling us about school. Worse, you're telling us about media studies. What's that? No, media is that I want to work on radio. You see, I want to be like Ntate Chomani Chomani. Ntate Tusono Tau. I'm giving reference to names that can appeal to them.
Yes.
And exactly that laugh.
Yes. This is crazy.
Full of games, dude. Listen, go and work.
Kudos, though. I love your story because it's very representative of many of our lives. That when the nuclear family wasn't there for whatever reason, extended family was there. We owe a lot to our extended families, in that our extended families have been there for us when there was nobody there. Sure, sometimes they didn't know the depth of our soul capacity. Here you're a young guy, you wanted to become a broadcaster, and nobody really could see that dream being fulfilled. But it was already germinating inside. You were already pregnant of this thing, right?
Listen, soccer ain't happening.
Yeah.
The next thing, I've got to be on radio.
Yeah.
Because I have done it at home before. And I'm here in Gauteng.
People don't know.
I've seen this thing already.
Yeah, people don't know about how many shows you've done before doing a show.
Thank you.
In the bathroom.
Thank you. And I got a break at Tembisa Radio.
Yeah.
When everyone else really did not understand what is this.
It's a community radio station there?
Tembisa.
Okay.
Right. I got a break there. I did a weekend show. But I worked so hard that within 6 months I was moved to a breakfast show weekdays. And everyone else now, they can be at home and they can listen to radio. Here's this voice. So this thing is right, it's happening, right?
Yes.
And obviously even their friends and friends of friends are beginning to come home to them and say, hey, your boy there.
He's doing it.
But the reality was
Magogo already passed on by then?
She was still around, but
Okay.
now I was now in Tembisa.
Okay.
She was now left in the first.
Qwaqwa, yeah.
And obviously, community radio at the time, there were
Doesn't
no
reach,
streamings.
yeah.
There were no streamings at the time where at least she could witness this. But it was until there was an article from the Daily Sun
Yes.
that she was shown.
Here's the boy and he's doing it.
Right?
Yeah?
But here's a key question. Where's the money? Well, listen, we see you, we hear you on radio. But where's the money, bro?
A lot of people don't understand that about radio.
Yep.
That in the beginning of radio, your radio career, you actually pay to be in that space. You actually pay.
Yeah, literally.
So people, I remember when I started out, I started in 2010 here. Never done radio anywhere else before. And I would literally have to pay for my petrol to get here. And sometimes I wouldn't have enough petrol to go back home.
Sure.
And sometimes I'd sleep in the studio areas just so that I can wait for the Gau train and leave the car here so that I can get back home and then borrow some money and then come back again and then pour some petrol. But a lot of people don't understand how that is the radio personality's journey in the beginning. Tell me more about yours.
So I spent almost a year and a half in Tembisa, just doing radio. But of course, there was this bigger dream, there was this bigger vision that I need to be at a radio Sesotho because I've always been speaking Sesotho. And I'm in Tembisa, and this is Gauteng. But my little research then showed me in the map of Gauteng, there's a part in the south of Gauteng where they speak Sesotho.
Yes.
And I knew then if there's an area in Gauteng where they speak Sesotho, this is where the talent scouts for Lesedi FM will most probably go.
Right.
I can be in Tembisa, yes, and speak Sesotho, but
yes.
I don't think they would think of coming here.
Yes, because it's too mhlabutlangen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they would definitely question even my Sesotho, if can we have a Sesotho
your fluency, yeah.
So in 2009, rather 2008, in fact, I packed my bags because we're not agreeing in terms of support, even here with the aunties in Tembisa.
Yeah.
My support structure was not really good.
Yeah.
And I said to them, listen, because you wanted me to find employment, and you have already been made ways and means for me to get one. And I declined. But I'm going to accept your offer of me that I must go back home. I am going back home. It was one Sunday in 2008. Packed my little bag, and I was given a transport money, I think about 120 rand, just for me to get into taxi and be back in the Free State.
Yeah.
But because I had already worked on my story and on my research, never shared with them. I had already met a guy who became, so I was in the SRC president in my last year at school.
Right.
So the guy who came after me, he was now in the Val at Citibank College, and I had connected with him to say, listen, Mchan, I want to be in the Val. I'm doing radio. You have seen me in papers, right? Yeah. So there is sure, listen, now I want to move to the Val, but I have nothing. Like, no, you're my president. Listen, you're going to squat at where I'm staying.
Yeah.
Student house.
Yeah.
We're good. So when I left in Tembisa that Sunday, I got into the taxi, went straight to the Val. I never went to the Free State. Changed my numbers. Stayed in the Val. No relative. I knew nobody except this guy from Qwaqwa with me.
Yes.
Right? The only call I made, I spoke to my great mother. I said to her, listen, Ma, I am not coming. I know they've already told you that I should be there today.
Yes.
I am not coming. I'm going to find life.
Yes.
I can only promise you, I'm not going to do some funny things. Okay? One day, I'll be fine. And I got her blessing. And that's how I landed in the Val and started my journey of two things, new life and radio to be pursued to the fullest up until today.
But how do you get connected to radio
In
from
the Val?
Yeah.
So obviously before I could officially move to the Val, I would travel from time to time.
Yes.
Then I found out that there is the Val University of Technology. They had a campus radio station. And they also had the YT station they called the VCR. So I started with the VCR guys while I was still in Tembisa, and I was doing the voiceovers. So I will gig every now and then for 50 rand, get into a train to the Val, do a voiceover and come back.
Hey, bro, you know, somebody needs to write a book. Somebody needs to tell that story. By the way, my guest is a South African doing great things. He's a radio man. His name is Motseki Mabuya. And we're just talking about his life and times and his whole journey as he discovers his latent talents as a radio man. Somebody needs to write, because if everybody that has been involved in radio in any significant way has a very similar story, where you simply make that great leap of faith to say, listen, I don't know how it's going to work. I don't know. I just don't know. And you just jump and you just leap out there and something catches you. I think it's your dream that catches you.
That's true.
I think it's your purpose that catches you. It's the echo of your own voice in the airwaves that catches you. Tell me about that.
So while doing the voiceover project, then I landed at university as a campus radio station. Then I walked into the campus station there at one morning. Now more confident because I'm doing radio. And good morning, how's it? Can I see the station manager? No, there's no station manager here. What do you want? No, I've got a demo, so I would love to drop a demo for them to hear me out. And then I was told that, no, the station manager is not here. You can see the programs manager. Okay, cool. And he was called, bruh, this guy's looking for a show, whatever he's looking for.
He's looking for an opportunity.
He was not interested.
Yeah.
He was not interested. He said, where are you from? Like, I'm from Tembisa. The fact that I was from Tembisa, he was not convinced enough
that you could talk the language in the right way. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then he said, listen, leave your demo there and your numbers. We'll call you when you're looking for people. I was happy. I walked out of the door. Literally on the corner, I bumped into this tall guy. I'm sorry that day. Like, hey, understand? Must look where you're walking. What's the problem?
Yeah.
Very vibey character.
Yeah.
And he said, what's wrong with you? I mean, he thought
Why are you here?
he thought I was one of the students. Like, no, I'm from the radio side. I was looking for an opportunity. I'm from Tembisa. I'm doing radio. So I was hoping I could find something. I'm actually rushing to VCR. I'm doing voiceovers there. It's like now he became more interested. Like, listen, follow me. Now this guy is taking me back to the studio. Got into the office, closed the door and said, tell me your story. Who are you? What do you want? And I narrated exactly what I've just shared with you.
Yeah.
And this man said to me, listen, where is your demo? Like, I left it with Ntate. They said he's a PM. Like, okay, cool. He called him. Can I have that demo? Put it in. Remember the floppy disk?
Yes.
My demo was in a floppy disk, right?
Yes.
I'm that old, Chris. and he listened to that.
Yeah.
And it's like, so when you want to start? Like, I'm ready to start whenever you want me to.
Yeah.
It's like, but you said you're from Tembisa, dude. Okay. I tell you what, see me next week. Go make arrangements. I'm ready to take you in.
Which year is this?
Now, this is 2008.
Okay.
I am deliberately choosing not to, or rather, did not mention who's the guy, but I want to tell you now. Yeah. So I get to learn later on. Yeah, he is a station manager. I never really asked whose name was at the time. Then I went back to Tembisa, packed my things now. Now the plan to go back to Free State, I get to narrate in the house. Listen, I'm ready to go, okay? Yeah. Sunday, listen, you can release me, guys. I'm happy. Then I left. But when I get back to the Val, I get to ask the guys, so who's the station manager there? They're like, it's Quincy Kekan.
Oh.
I'm like, wait.
Really?
I've been reading about these guys. Is this guy who was at Metro?
Yes.
Like, yes, that's him. I'm like, looking at the pictures, I had a book where I would cut and paste my story, and really how it really got the strength to really go to the Val with me not knowing anyone else was the story of Pat Cash Guma. I read his story on I think it was on Born a Drum magazine, and he shared his story, and that story changed my life and gave me the courage to go to the Val and say, I'm going to start there without knowing anyone else. At least there's one guy who's prepared to give me where I can hide my head. But Quincy believed in me first day, gave me a break, and I did my radio shows with VUTFM from 2008. Later on, I left VUTFM, joined a bigger community radio station now in the Val called Theta. In 2012, I was nominated and for the MTN Radio Awards.
Yeah.
And got the award, which concludes my story of radio now.
Yeah.
Because it was called the Bright Star Award.
Yes.
And the definition...
So one of our producers won the Bright Star Award.
Right.
Yeah.
Definition of the Bright Star is that you are the future star.
That's right.
You are the name that we must look out for.
Yeah.
In the future, in the industry.
Well, listen to this. Evening Bra Ops, your guest is one of my favorite persons to listen to. It's my wish to see him fitting on shoes and doing more than you. Absolutely. May God open doors for him and his dreams fulfilled. Mujaki Sakhalo, wa lakeside proper in the Val.
Oh, wow.
Yeah?
That's Ntate Mujaki.
Yeah. And in 1983, when I was in... No, this is completely something different. So now you're doing Theta.
Now I'm with Theta.
Yeah.
I'm doing the breakfast show. MTN Radio Awards are there. Got nominated and got awarded the Bright Star Award. And I looked at that award and I really said, okay, what is Bright Star? And I had to work on it.
Yeah.
But it really revived my radio dream. Now beyond just being a broadcaster. It is through that award in 2012 when I also started my media company called Bitumelo Media, purely because I understood that, if the judges could sit and say, this boy might be something else in radio industry one day, they really saw something in me. And this was just through voice and possibly the motivation I would have put at the time. And 2012, with that award, I knew that there has to be bigger things for me to do in the media space,
right?
Particularly radio. And I started my media company and now doing the business of radio. And just before that, I had already started doing auditions and whatnot through Lesedi FM. I never got a break. Now, that was the funny part. But when I got this award, and I said to myself, okay, I think it's okay. Lesedi can close that door. I'm going to the business side of radio. Because now I now understood radio better. And I was getting introduced now to the business side of radio. And I wanted to focus on that. Going to radio just as talent was no longer an interest for me. Now I just wanted to do more. And I focused.
Production.
Yeah.
Training.
Training came only now.
Okay.
So my focus then was production and media buying. I was really already seen beyond.
Right.
I was just looking for money at the time.
Yeah.
But I think over time, also introduced things that were never of interest at the time in the community radio space. I did, and I was doing the talk show, and I left the breakfast show, went for talk shows. And I introduced a talk show on TET FM. Later on, went to View TFM and I said, because you're my former employer, I want to do simulcast shows. This was in 2014, 15. Now I was doing the service delivery talk shows both on TET and View T. Something that has never been heard of.
I think anybody who wants to go into broadcasting needs to understand what you've just said now, that you don't have to be in radio only as talent.
Certainly.
That radio is a big space. And very often we think that it's just about being behind the microphone. I mean, look at us here. Chris is here. Ntating is behind so I'm the talent. I'm the mouthpiece, but it's a whole production team. And if people got to understand that there are opportunities in all of these spaces. Listen, before I forget this. So now we see the emergence of the podcast.
Right.
Narrowcasting. Anybody can now get a mic and anybody can do it now. What do you think of this development?
I think they are great developments. They are needed. The radio industry needs them. We've been sleeping on our laurels for a very long time. And if you listen to radio today, there's, for lack of a better word, there hasn't been much of investment in radio that is too personal. And what do I mean by too personal? Where real life stories can be dissected. Radio, it's more commercial now. And the reason why some of the people who have a problem with podcasting is because it's going to compete with them commercially. And unfortunately, the economy requires us to look on that side. But the emergence of all these platforms, for me, they are nothing else but subsidiaries of radio.
Absolutely.
Radio will remain.
What should radio be doing in society?
Radio should go back to the basics and create platforms of storytelling. Conversations about real people issues, more so on humanity, development, family values, and of course, business and politics.
I find, and I must agree with you that we are getting, because of this commercial competition, that we are no longer doing the real spade work for finding proper radio people. I'm talking about people like yourself who bit the pavement, who've done everything and defied every single law to do this thing called radio. And what we're finding is that we get celebrities who are good at acting or politics or whatever, and then we bring them in the radio space, hoping that we will take some of their popularity in that other field and bring it here. While I understand that strategy, I think that it's lazy. It doesn't produce people that are dedicated to the craft. It becomes very much a commercialized thing. And for me, what that does is that it brings down the quality of radio, because the passion isn't the right kind of passion. The investment is the wrong investment. So the person that's behind the mic and the people that are involved aren't in the business because they really care about the issues that radio can bring. And very often you get people who are subject matter specialists who are really good at a particular subject matter. And because they're subject matter specialists, they only talk about that thing. And so they don't talk about the wider range of other topics that are available to society to do exactly what you've just said, that it's about serving the society with information, with education, with entertainment, with all of those wonderful things. And I think that's going to be the one thing that's going to shake radio a little bit, and why the podcast space is becoming so powerful. Comment.
It's becoming so powerful because there's enough time to dissect an issue. We no longer do that on radio now because of the commercial element, right? And that's what we've missed. But perhaps I think we're at a point now through what we are launching this year, because of the love and interest of radio. 2 years ago, I got a call up from Lesedi FM to say, listen, you've been disrupting the area there in the Val. Come join us here. And I'm happy to be there. I'm happy to serve in that platform. But I've got a bigger calling. And there's this huge part of me that says,
wow, Probs, why didn't Ndlozi catch us straight? No, it's No.
right.
If you had been listening to me about Ndlozi, I said that he's probably the one politician who's actually going to do well in radio.
That's true.
Because he's got the same passion for communicating in a particular way. But if you look at the way that people are being employed, particularly right now in this time in the radio space, it's people that aren't radio people.
What numbers are you bringing?
Precisely.
Just to jump into Ndlozi, then I said to the colleagues, the reason why he's going to do well is because he's a communicator.
Absolutely.
His background, he has what radio needs, and that's why he would do well. So perhaps then we're saying, okay, what then, Motseki? You are here, you are at Lesedi FM. This is probably, you've reached the ceiling. Are you happy? Yes, I'm happy. My radio circle is closed. I've done it from the ground, and I'm here now.
From the bathroom.
Do you know?
Yeah.
So what then? I need to go back to the sector that made me. And I want to celebrate these guys who are in the community radio sector through what now we call the Community Radio Awards. Precisely because out of 10 of those who are in community radio, only 2, 3 at the most will make it to commercial or PBS. The rest of 7 will remain at community radio and just leave radio. Unfortunately, they would not go beyond that because the space is already saturated.
Yeah. I think that we are losing a great opportunity with community radio specifically. Or Radio Tembisa, for example. Or Teta. All of those kinds of radio stations, in my opinion, are where it's at. It's just that they don't get the financial support. But I think community radio is actually the platform that speaks to the issues of those particular communities, that the opportunity for proper nation building and conversations that are impactful can take place at that level, at the community radio station. The commercial space, the big radio stations, maybe even like Asia, whatever, is great. But we tend to be focused on the macro stuff and the big issues. And those are important, by the way. No, don't get me wrong. I'm simply saying that I wish we could see a lot more focus on the community radio in the same way that we're seeing the emergence of the podcast space. Because that's powerful radio, as you said, because it speaks to niche issues. It speaks to issues in ways that dissect the stories in longer sort of longer terms, if you want. And for me, that's the opportunity that is being missed out. Your next move.
So the next move is to launch the National Community Radio Awards. Let's put the spotlight, and not only spotlight, but let's shine it on the talented community radio. And mine is to really create this platform to celebrate this talent. But there are key components beyond the awards themselves. Is to talk to exactly what you just raised about the role that the community radio should play. Let's go dress up, dine, and be celebrated. It's just going to be a day. But post that, let's go hang out provincially. Let's have capacity building.
Beautiful.
Let's go and call the legends. Let's go call Aubrey and say, Aubrey, you've been here for a longer time. Here are young people in Eastern Cape. What kept you going? What is talk radio? But I want then you to talk to us about how do I deal with an issue of flooding in KZN?
Yes.
What role can we play as community radio to talk to the engineering, to talk to issues around global warming? Because we are here.
Yeah.
702 and SABC can deal with other matters. Help us.
At the community level.
At the community level. How do we bring it to that level?
My brother, I got to stop you. We can do this forever. Listen, somebody says, hi, bro Ops, I call Mabuya, groot man. There's always a thing to learn from him. I once shared some days with him in the studio, but he never told me Uguba he once played at Cosmos. Big up to groot man. We're still learning from him as he's still doing great for the community. And that's from Siandam Kabateli. And then somebody says, Aubrey, evening, Aubrey, thank you for sharing this story. I'm a regular listener. Sunday, 10 o'clock at the best in Tate. So a lot of people enjoying the conversation. And my brother, I want to stand up and salute you and say thank you for the work that you're doing. Don't stop, because it's people like you that are going to make this country great by having the conversations that are impactful through radio. I appreciate it. And you make us proud to call ourselves South African.
Props, thank you so much for the time. Thank you so much for the honor. And just want to extend the invitation to the talent in radio. Let them visit the website. It's www.buitumelomedia.co.za, and all the details and information about how to enter and the categories. We are closing on the 14th of March, which is the next week, the submissions for entries. But yeah, this is our year. We're shining the spotlight on community radio. Thank you, Hangwe. Thank you, Habedi. Thank you, Hara.